Simon and Schuster, media team, social media team, whatever, please step to the front because we have to have a conversation. You know those moments when a company does something online and within not even 5 minutes, everyone collectively says, "Oh no, baby, what is you doing?" That was Simon and Schuster. I believe it was last week that this happened. They are a major publishing house, one of the biggest names in publishing, literally one of the big five in publishing. Whoever was running their social media team that day decided to post what they clearly thought was a harmless little hot take. A cute conversation starter, something to keep, everything going, tiny sprinkle of engagement bait, if you will. Instead, they accidentally detonated a nuclear bomb inside romance publishing. Now I'm gonna put the post up. You guys probably already seen it. Some of you might not have, but it basically said, "Hot take: Not every book needs an HEA bracket, including romance." Whew! And immediately, the romance readers, they came out of the woodwork. They looked up from their Kindles like somebody had just insulted their grandmother, and I'm not even joking. And the thing is, the issue isn't whether every story needs a happy ending. Let's be honest. We know that not every story needs a happy ending. Most readers agree with that. The issue is that, that little bracket, that little addition that they added at the end, because romance as a genre literally needs a happy ending. Like, that's not an opinion, it's not a preference, it's not discourse, it's literally just a definition. And see, that's why the whole conversation, when I saw it, because I don't know if the post has been deleted or if I just can't find it, but when it was going on, that's what that's what really got me interested. Like, it's why the whole conversation, it just had me really, really fascinated, because I think it reveals something much bigger happening, not just in publishing, but like across all industries. But obviously, since we're talking about Simon and Schuster, we'll focus on the publishing aspect of it. One, the focus on engagement online, and two, kind of an erosion of genre expectations, if we're being completely honest. Okay, the fact of the matter is, every genre has genre rules, okay? So we're going to start this video with the boring bit, okay? I promise we're not going to stick to that part too long, but we really just have to set a foundation here. Okay, a romance novel has two fundamental requirements as I know it. Number one is that the romance must be central to the story. It literally is the genre, romance. And the number two is that the ending must provide a happily ever after or a happy for now, okay? Because let's be honest, we know that life goes on after the book ends, but we also know that there might be complications that might arise, but they're happy for now, okay? Literally it. That's happy happy for now or happily ever after. That's it. Those are the rules. And before somebody starts typing furiously in the comments talking about rules are meant to be broken, I'm so sorry. There's a line that we shouldn't cross. Yes, rules are meant to be broken. We know that. It's what keeps things interesting. But genre rules? No. We're going to have to pause right there. Genre rules, they're not just rules, they are promises. So that is a huge difference right there. If I pick up a mystery novel, I expect a mystery. Not just that, I expect at the end for the mystery to be revealed. If it's someone got killed, I expect the murderer to be revealed. If I pick up horror, I expect horror. Let's be honest, I expect gore and someone to be killed. If I pick up fantasy, I expect fantasy. I expect some version of the world that's not real, a fantastical element. So if I pick up romance and everybody dies, in a fire while the couple breaks up and goes their separate ways and no one is happy, I'm so sorry. Let's be honest, that's not romance anymore. And this is coming from me, someone who, it's not like romance is like my primary genre. I read all genres. I always tell you guys. But if I were to say I had a primary genre or primary genres, it would be like fantasy and thrillers. Maybe even historical fiction. I love me a good, good. But I wouldn't say that romance was like, a top genre of mine. But at the end of the day, I respect the genre rules that have been set out. I recognize them, I respect them, and if we're, reading a book and at the end nobody's happy. I'm so sorry. That's not romance anymore. You've legit changed genres and we cannot pretend like that's not what you did. But congratulations, you've written a tragedy, you've written a horror, you've written something, but you've just not written romance. And we just have to accept that that's the fact of the matter, okay? And another point, when I was like seeing all of this unfold, that I think whoever was writing it probably didn't understand is the fact that these genre rules are so set in stone when it comes to books and literature. Yes, we have come to an age where tropes are, they're ruling literature, let's be honest, and you guys know how I feel about that. I've spoken about it so many times. But the fact of the matter is, yes, right now readers, they are buying a lot of tropes, but at the same time they're buying promises as well. And this is where I think whoever wrote that post, and not just that person or that team, but I kind of just think across publishing, I think that this is getting confused because of the popularity of tropes, and because we are seeing that books are getting tropified. Readers don't just buy books, okay? They buy expectations. A thriller reader, they expect tension. A mystery reader, they expect answers. Let's not get it twisted. A fantasy reader, they expect world building, which is why I stay criticizing some of the books that are coming out nowadays. And a romance reader, they expect a great emotional payoff, and that payoff is literally the product that these publishers are selling to us. So imagine you bought a ticket for a Marvel film, and 2 hours in, no action. No action, no superheroes, no villain, no climax. Then at the end somebody says, well, life doesn't always have satisfying endings. Yeah, okay, we can all accept that, but that's not why I bought the ticket to the movie, is it? No. I came here with the expectation that I would see action, that I would be seeing fighting, that I would be seeing, now that we know, they're exploring more things, maybe, traveling to another dimension or two. And the same goes for readers. Romance readers they're paying for emotional resolution. That is the deal that we have made when we buy a romance book. And this is the bit that was driving me nuts through it all. Every few years, someone tries to have this debate. I've seen this debate, funny enough, that, it doesn't need a happily ever after. Yeah, not all books need happily ever afters, but romance does. I don't know what we're missing here. Every few years, people start acting like romance readers are unreasonable for wanting to get what was promised to them. I don't understand. People are coming out of the woodwork acting as if romance readers are demanding something outrageous. They're not. They're really not. They're literally asking for the thing that they purchased. Imagine ordering pizza, and I know I'm like giving a lot of examples, but I really just want to drive the point home. Imagine ordering pizza and either you order it takeaway, or you're in the restaurant and you get brought a salad. If you're in the restaurant, obviously you're already upset and you complain. Imagine that was your takeaway order. And I know that we can imagine that because come on, I know that a lot of us have ordered food at home when we don't feel like cooking, and then you're so excited for your order, and then you get it delivered, the delivery driver goes, you open up that bag or that box, and it's not what you ordered. You're not at the restaurant, so you can't say I want to send this back. No, you have to stick with it. And then you're stuck like making complaint. Hello, where is my gyoza? I didn't order chicken katsu. That has actually happened to me. The other way around though, I ordered katsu and then I got gyoza, and I was just like, hello, hi, this is not what I ordered. Like, where's my food? But then let's add another step. If you are in the restaurant, obviously you call the waiter over to complain. Thankfully, they can send it back. Imagine the waiter, after giving you a salad when you ordered a pizza, mind you, imagine they say, well, food and what we desire evolves. I'm sorry? No. I ordered a pizza. Run me my pizza. Bring me my pepperoni. Like, I'm so sorry. Give me all of my carbs. I don't care that you think it's not healthy. I didn't order salad. Run me my carbs, okay? I'm so sorry. Romance readers ordered emotional satisfaction. They ordered a happily ever after or a happy for now, whichever. give them their emotional satisfaction. I don't know what we're arguing for anymore. And the thing is, let's be honest, we know that nowadays people have gotten a bit entitled with certain things. This isn't that. This isn't entitlement. This is literally product accuracy. That's it. That's 100% it. And you know what's really funny about this? When the whole debacle came up, it reminded me of me being in high school. I think I was in year 8. And obviously, I'm a child. I'm a child, and I don't have a grasp of like literature, genre rules. We're learning these things. I'm a child. And I remember I had an assignment in English, and he assigned us to basically write a story about a utopia. He gave us our word count, la da 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 da. And I'm here, and I'm just like, I start writing my story. I should have known ages ago that, writing was where I should really point my like career at, but I didn't see it back then. Anyway, I digress. I started writing the story, and midway through, I was just like, I want to give him something different. He's going to be getting like a lot of stories, obviously, from everyone in the class, and everyone's going to be having literally perfect worlds, right? And I was like, oh, he's gonna get tired of this. Let me give him something fresh. Let me give him something new. Let me just like, turn the tables on him so that I get a good grade, And also that, it's like, wow, I didn't expect this. Your story was the best. All that. And I basically wrote a dystopia. I basically wrote a dystopia. Oh my goodness. Part of me kind of wants to kind of shift, right? That, oh, maybe I should revisit that story if I can remember exactly what it was about. But anyway, I wrote a dystopia, and obviously he read it, and then when he was I think at the end of class one day, he was just like, yeah, it was good, but obviously what you've written is a dystopia. Keep in mind, guys, remember, I'm in year 8, so I don't understand genre rules. So when he's telling me, oh yeah, write a utopia and stuff like that, I didn't understand that yet, but that was the first instance in my life of me understanding that like there are certain rules to every genre that you enter, and I think that's also kind of like probably where the love of dystopia began, maybe, or probably when I first recognized dystopia as a genre, or subgenre, whatever. But yeah, that's I think what people are falling into, that trap of we want to subvert the expectations of our readers. And this is the thing. Subversion is cute, and subversion is actually really good, but there's a way to subvert expectations without trampling over the respected rules, okay? And I think that's something that people aren't really getting, or people aren't really respecting. I feel like that's something that people really need to understand. They need to have like that conversation with like my English teacher the same way I did, and like get to the point where they're realizing, okay, there are rules and we can shake, but we really need to understand the rules. And I think what was really, really funny about the entire post is that this is a major publishing house, And so I think as people saw the post, I think people were really like just trying to wrap their heads around how a major publishing house was saying that. Because the thing is, romance is, at least I would think, the most commercially successful genre in the world. I don't have the numbers to back that up, but like I just know that like romance is really, really popular, and I would expect it to be like the top from what I know about like bestsellers and la da da da. But it's so funny how like it does always need constant defending. I say this again as someone who doesn't even read romance that much, but like it always needs defending. It always needs, people are always saying, oh, it needs reinventing, it needs fixing, it needs elevating. And I won't even lie. We know that as times change, as we grow as people, as a society, there are some things that probably will change, okay? There are some freedoms that, women, people of color, that they get even in novels that they wouldn't have been afforded like 100 years ago. If anything, if we're reading books from 100 years ago, a person of color, the only role that you would have is, to be, a servant, or, to be low class, la da 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 da. Women were all always seen as this. They wouldn't be the leads of novels, la da 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 da. So yes, as society grows and, we adapt to the growth in society, there are changes. And so I guess we can consider those things fixing the genre. But there are certain things I think people are trying to do that is just upending the entire genre itself. And I'm just like, at this point, just make a whole new genre. This is not it. Because I think we don't do it that much with other genres do this. I don't think we do it with like crime novels. I don't think people say, what if the detective never solves the murder? I know that there are like, books where the detective solves a murder, but then we find out that there's another layer to the story that the detective didn't uncover. But it is still a satisfying ending in the sense that not only did, okay, yeah, the murder did get solved, but it also leaves the door open for, oh, we might get a sequel because there's another part that's unsolved. There's, we've left the door open. So again, it's kind of like a happy for now, in, mystery. You guys know what I mean. But at the same time, like when we're reading a horror, I don't think anyone ever says, "Oh, what if the horror novel wasn't scary?" And that's not a horror novel. What the heck is that? Like, I know that there are nuances to everything because speaking of horror, I can turn around and say, "Oh, everyone finds different things scary. I'm terrified of critters and bugs and stuff like that, whereas other people, that wouldn't be a horror novel to them. They'd be like, oh, discovering new species and la da 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 da, where I'm just like, ew. No, so there are nuances, but the fact of the matter is the base, the foundation doesn't change, in the sense that we know that for it to be classified as a horror, the idea, the intention is that it has to be scary, okay? So let's not play games. And one of my favorite genres, obviously, fantasy. No one ever says, oh, what if it had no fantasy? What if we just documented regular life? No fantastical elements. It doesn't even have to have magic, but it has no fantastical elements. I'm just like, that's not a fantasy. I'm so sorry. That's just, maybe contemporary fiction, literary fiction. It's something, but it's definitely not a fantasy. Like, let's get it together, okay? People don't go around like throwing shots at these other genres, but it does seem that, with romance, every 5 minutes, someone does want to dismantle the entire foundation, which is very, very funny. Not funny, like bizarre that it is like the genre that is attacked a lot. I do think after romance, fantasy does get attacked. There are a lot of people, they do always have something to say about fantasy. Um, and you guys know I don't read a lot of romances now, but I will defend like a good romance. I don't read a lot of them now because I'm just like, oh, I want pining and yearning. I don't feel like they have enough of that. But that's the thing, I get the pining, the yearning, but I still expect at the end for happily ever after when I'm reading a romance novel. I'm seeing these two. I'm just like, okay, this is a couple that's going to, end up happily ever after or something like that. And so I just don't get what the attack with romance. I don't get it, if I'm being completely honest. Now I feel like you guys probably expect this because I usually do. I usually say something like this in a lot of my videos, but I'm gonna say it again. I'm so sorry if you saw this coming. I actually think BookTok caused part of this this confusion. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know it seems like I attack BookTok regularly on this channel, and maybe I do because let's be honest, BookTok is a bit problematic. I mean, even the whole hot girls debacle. She had a BookTok. Let's be honest. I'm so sorry. BookTok does cause a lot of drama, but here is what I mean when I say that. I think because on BookTok, one of the most popular genres is romance. One thing I am seeing is that like people call everything romance, and I think they're blurring the lines of it. I think they're blurring the lines to the point that, romance kind of has to be in everything now, in the sense that they want a book to have romance. And the thing is, sometimes I'm reading books and I'm like, okay, if this is a fantasy book, I expect the fantasy to be most of the book. I expect romance to be, if you have romance in it, a subplot. And when I say subplot, I mean subplot. We're not meant to be focusing on the romance in every chapter. This is why, I respect when they say, this book is romantasy, because at least I know half of the book is about the fantasy and half of the book is about the romance. So I expect to see romance everywhere, every which way. But no, you cannot have like a standard fantasy book and every single page you guys are talking about how she's concerned about this relationship and that boy and that girl. I'm so sorry. I think because romance really is like the central genre on BookTok, I think a lot of publishers and a lot of writers saw that and started to focus on that, or really started to emphasize that if anything is happening in literature, we need romance to be there. So I won't even lie to you, romance girlies, I do kind of blame you. I feel like this is your fault. Because we will have a regular book and then you guys are getting recommended that book and you guys will turn around and say, is there romance? And I'm like, okay, the genre clearly stated that it was a thriller. Why are you asking about romance? Do you want me to have, a relationship with a serial killer? I don't understand. Stop asking for romance and everything. This is definitely, I won't lie, part of it is your fault, BookTok girlies. Part of it is BookTok girlies, because you guys, I'll be reading historical fiction and you guys, the most I can tell you is that, two people held hands once, so I guess that's romance. I'll be reading like literary fiction and I'll have to like scrunch and be like, there was a grocery list with sexual tension, is that enough romance for you? I feel like the demand for romance is why we now have, we have lovers of other genres having to suffer, I say that in air quotes, suffer romance and everything. And because that romance has now encroached on their genre, they're now trying to twist romance to fit the expectations of that genre. And this is where we find ourselves now. So you know what? I'm so sorry. Romance girlies, romance boys. I keep saying romance girlies, but boys like romance too. Romance people, I say that you guys had a part to play and, romance getting attacked in this day and age. Romance has been getting attacked for ages, but in this day and age, you guys definitely had a role to play in it. I don't care. And I'm realizing now, Shelly, what is with all of this movement? I think it's because I'm really loving my hair more and more. I've had it for weeks, I know, but I'm just like, I don't know how I keep getting distracted. I'm very terrible. Like, this is how I lose track of everything. I'm even losing track now. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm very, very sorry. Let's get back to the topic at hand. But the point that I was making is that, like, yeah, I think the genre labels have become so muddy because of, romance taking over. And with it being muddied, readers are forgetting the distinction between them. And I guess not even forgetting the distinction, but they're trying to really erase the distinction between them, or really trying to force their own standards into it. And so now I'm like, okay, everyone is confused about romance novels and novels that contain romance. There's a difference, and that's okay. They can be two separate entities. They are not the same thing. And we need to recognize that, because it really, really matters, because expectations matter, okay? Expectations matter. And this is why we are in this debacle now, because clearly whoever wrote that post for Simon and Schuster didn't recognize that expectations matter, okay? I'm so sorry. I'm throwing shots at whoever wrote that post. I'm so sorry. But at the end of the day, you did start this debacle. I'm so sorry. It is kind of it's kind of on you. But I hope that you're not getting too much slack at Simon and Schuster or online. Like, everyone makes mistakes, Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. I'm really on something today. What did I eat? Did I have a lot of sugar? Maybe. Okay, back to the topic at hand. The thing is, obviously, I've told you guys that I got accepted into the HarperCollins Author Academy, and that's been so fun. And this is the thing. We actually learned about this, not specifically about romance, but the fact that, when we were studying storytelling, readers love surprises. That's 100% true. And me as a reader, I know I love surprises. Readers, they love twists. We love innovation. We love fresh ideas. We love subversion, actually. We love when things get like flipped, But the thing is, innovation works best inside structure. You know, the structure is what allows the surprise to land and land really well. So like if you think about mystery, and I know I keep referencing mystery and thrillers, but like I said, guys, my favorite genres are like fantasy, thrillers, and mysteries. Obviously, I know about them the most, or I read about them the most. But like if you're thinking about mystery, you can have shocking reveals, you can have unexpected killers. I know that I've been reading like some great thrillers in the last year, because you know, with the chaos of this year, I haven't been reading too much in general. But yeah, you can have that. You know, you can have crazy plot twists, but at the end of the day, the mystery must be solved. And if you're going to change things up a bit, you can do that, but the mystery still must be solved. For example, you can have a series where the mystery carries on maybe throughout the series. Don't drag it too long, though. Don't be having a 16-book mystery. I will quit. I won't. I have like a really kind of OCD when it comes to like finishing things, but I'll get annoyed like after book 4, maybe even 3. But yeah, you can maybe have like a trilogy in a mystery where each book unravels a part of the mystery, and in the third book, that's when we get like the full unraveling, the full like reveal. That's cool, you know? Or even maybe a case of, oh, we got it wrong in the first book, and the second book comes out, you're just like, oh, there's more. You know, you can have crazy plot twists, but at the end of the day, the mystery has to be solved. Otherwise, the readers are going to feel cheated. And the same thing applies here with romance. You can twist romance, you can subvert romance 100%, play with romance. Like, you know, let's not get the same thing. Challenge romance. I think challenging romance is where people really should try to, you know, subvert the genre, challenge it. But the thing is, eventually, the emotional contract has to be fulfilled. Otherwise, you've broken the promise. And like we said, readers, there's a promise when they're reading. And I remember at one point, guys, this is something funny was going on in life. Question: should I say funny? Yeah, let's say funny. And then my friends were just like, Shelly, you really should write. We know you like fantasy, but you really should write a romance book, because I was reading every line, and I was really, and I was considering it. I was just like, should I write a romance novel? That'd be so fun. And I was even again, I went back to like my mind about, oh yeah, let's change everything. You know, let's just flip the script. But I still knew that a happily ever after needed to be there. I understood that. I was thinking, you know what? How about we challenge romance, and we challenge the idea that happily ever after means that she ended up with this guy. Happily ever after sometimes means that people break up because people are toxic. Okay, like let's not play games. Some people are toxic and we don't need them together. Happily ever after might mean you got away. You guys broke up. Like, let's be honest, guys. Sometimes Sometimes we have to challenge what a happily ever after is, because you people are getting it wrong. Staying in a relationship by force. I'm so sorry. I don't see the happily ever after in that. Is anyone happy? No. So that you can do if you want to, like, shake things up a bit. But not giving a happily ever after, I would actually consider someone staying in a relationship that's just like toxic and horrible for them. That is not my happily ever after. It's not even a happy for now. It's suffering for now. They're struggling for now. They're crying for now. That's what we're doing, and we don't want that. Do it. No. Okay? So if you're writing romance and you're thinking, oh, how do I, change things up a bit, especially with the happily ever after, we need a happily ever after, but what that might actually mean might be different. So, consider that. Now, that being said, what this whole like Simon and Schuster like debacle, I think what it also revealed is the fact that a lot of companies, and this is not just in publishing, like I said, this is across industries, but again, we're focusing on publishing. I think with social media being as big as it is right now, I think there's such a focus on how can we get engagement? How can we get people talking, especially talking about our book? I'm guessing that, like, with that post, maybe they thought, oh, we're going to get them to talk about that, and we're going to, like, announce that there's a book and we're not sure if it's gonna have a happily ever after. You should buy it to find out. I don't know, like, or it really could have just been engagement. Like, who knows? Because the thing is, I don't think that post was malicious. It definitely wasn't malicious. They weren't trying to like get on romance readers' nerves. Not at all. They were just like making a post, I think. But obviously it didn't end well. It didn't end well, unfortunately. But I think in posting what they did, I think it did reveal that the people who are now marketing our books, marketing the books that we're going to read, I think that they're really just focusing on the vibes. They're focusing on the vibes because that's kind of what social media is right now. It's just vibes. But at the end of the day, yes, a lot of readers, they care about vibes. Let's be honest. We're not going to lie to ourselves. A lot of readers are reading for vibes. And, you can read for vibes, especially if you read something heavy and you kind of just want to read for vibes or you just want to read something fun. Let's be honest. But when it comes to genre, like, readers see genre as a contract. The genre is not vibes. No, 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 no. And I think that's where the conflict came from, because publishing teams, they were saying, oh, it's just a story. And then the readers pulled up and said, no, it's a category, and you're not finna play in our face like we don't know our own category. And I know some people who are arguing for the whole, oh, things should be changed. You're gonna pull up and say, guys, the rules are restrictive. But the fact of the matter is, the rules are why we bought the book. I've been talking about genre this entire video. I buy a fantasy because of the fantastical elements, because I know those rules are set in stone and I'm going to get it. How I get it, well, obviously it's going to change book by book, series by series, but I'm going to get it. Thrillers, mysteries. I know the rules. I know what I'm going to get. And you cannot come and play in my face and talk about, oh, the rules are restrictive. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. We're gonna have a problem, okay? The fact of the matter is, readers, romance readers, I would say, I think they're definitely some of the smartest consumers in publishing. I know, as someone who doesn't read romance, that's kind of like a hot take from me, but I do believe, in terms of like being a consumer, that they're some of the smartest consumers, in the sense that they know exactly what they want. They know exactly what they're paying for, and at the end of the day, they're not afraid to demand just that. I know I've spoken about it. I'm just like, oh, guys, it's repetition and the tropes are taking over and I don't really like it. But in terms of romance consumers, they're just like, yeah, we know exactly what is going to happen. We like it, and that's exactly what we're going to demand. So in terms of being consumers, I think they're very, very, they're also very, very strict, but you have to appreciate that about them. I do appreciate that about romance readers. Like, I give you guys your props when it comes to that. Because let's be honest, the other genres, we're doing backflips. We're doing backflips. And I think because of that, there are times when the genres out here just accepting all sorts of nonsense because some readers don't know what they want across the genres. You know, fantasy readers, we're getting 800 pages of legit nothing. No plot, no story, just utter confusion. Sometimes it's 800 pages of world building and no plot, no story, no character development. And you're just sat here like, what did you just give me? At least I'm sat there. But then, some fantasy are just like, yeah, that one's good, that one's good. What was good about that? Like, what can you tell me about that book when it had no plot, no story, no nothing? Tell me about the book in one line. And if you describe world building to me, I'll beat you. That's what I mean. Like, I think with romance consumers, because they just know what they want at all times, there's no games to play. We have we have thriller books. I won't even lie. Some thriller books are being marketed for romance readers, and I'm just like, okay, there's true confusion in our midst, and I don't understand. I have to step back. And don't let me get started on literary fiction because I'm so sorry. I have read a good amount of literary fiction like in the last year, and I was just like, that was good. When I say a good amount, I mean for like in terms of like percentage comparison with other books that I read, I would say it's a good amount for me. Guys, let's be honest. Let's be honest. The literary fiction readers, sometimes I just know for a fact that you guys are pretending you enjoyed those books, but they actually made you miserable. I know that's what you guys are doing. I know that's what you guys are doing because some books I read, I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way you guys enjoyed it. You guys are lying. You guys are, and I'm just sat here like, I'm so sorry. I know everyone has different taste, but sometimes it's just objectively no. It was an objectively miserable book, and you cannot lie to me about it. I'm so sorry. Okay, but you have romance readers. They are stood there and they're just like, where is my happily ever after? Okay, where is my happy for now? And the thing is, let's be honest, happy for now is even like, they're even strict with that. They prefer the HEA. Let's be honest. They're not playing games with the confusion. They're not. They're like, run me my ending, run me my happy ending. And honestly, guys, I respect it. I 100% respect it. Now, I've criticized the romance books being released nowadays because I'm just like, in terms of like quality, line by line writing, word choice, even, I'm just like, it's questionable. But you guys are there like, we got a happily ever after and we are happy. And you know what? I have to respect that part of like the romance readers and what they like, what they ask for. Genuinely, I have to respect it. But all that to say, Simon and Schuster, you were partially right. Not every book needs a happy ending. That's 100% true. They do not need a happy ending. Some stories should devastate us. Some stories should challenge us. You guys know how I love a good book that challenges people. You know, some books, they should leave us broken and staring at the wall for 3 business days like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But romance? I'm so sorry. Romance is different. Romance is different because in romance, the happily ever after, guys, it's a promise. You know, it's not just a suggestion. It is literally what was promised. And the second you remove the happily ever after, you've changed the deal. So I think this controversy was interesting, and like I said, I think the post has been removed. I'm not sure, but I haven't been able to find it. Um, but this controversy has been really, really interesting because to me, like, the controversy really wasn't about, oh, whether every book needs a happy ending. It was really about why a major publishing house seemed surprised that romance readers know their own genre. I I was just like, please, one thing you're not going to do is play games with a romance reader. And honestly, I stand for it, you know? I respect it 100%. So Simon and Schuster, you've learned a very, very great lesson. And other publishers and other publishing houses, not even just publishing houses, other businesses in different industries, you've learned a really great lesson. Yes, in the social media age, engagement is very important, but be careful when you're making a post for engagement. Like, a conversation is good. A conversation that is questioning whether or not you know about genre, which is questionable considering you're a publishing house. I don't think that's a conversation you want to be had. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, especially if you're romance readers. Like, do you? I want to know if there are any people out there who, they were standing with Simon and Schuster and they were just like, actually, yeah, we don't need an HCA or HFN or. I want to know. I want to hear it. Let's get in the comments. And even if we're in the comments with that opinion, as always, remain respectful. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.